Die of Death, or DoD, is an asymmetrical game similar to Forsaken, where your goal is to survive until the timer runs out while the killer tries to kill 8 civilians in time. Whenever Forsaken gets into more drama, which is basically every week, let's be honest here, some people always migrate to DoD since it's a very cool and fun game. What I want to talk about in this video is how overrated this game truly is. Whenever Forsaken and DoD are both mentioned, there are always at least a couple of people saying that DoD is just better than Forsaken, but I want to tell you something. Forsaken has a lot of issues, right? Especially gameplay wise, with very weak killers, broken survivors, and horribly designed maps. Well, Die of Death is basically everything bad about Forsaken's gameplay but on steroids. In this video, I want to address these issues. Remember that I don't want to just spread negativity around and that I'm just pointing out some things I don't like about the game. So the first thing I want to talk about is the content. The last time they added a new ability for civilians was around 4 months ago if I remember correctly, and the last killer that was added is Harken, who was released around 6 months ago. That is how much new real content we've gotten since release. What makes a game like DoD fun is the characters, because they add variety to the game. Well, for some reason these devs just refuse to add new stuff and instead rework everything that is already in the game. The next update is going to be about customization. I won't go into much detail, but basically they're adding skins for civilians. Now skins are cool and we all know that, but if there's something that Forsaken has taught us, it's to not add 5,000 skins every update. And DoD took that lesson a little too literally. In fact, they rarely add new skins, but they keep adding more ways to customize how you look instead. Like, they literally added skin variants, which I won't lie was a very clever idea, but it's again just pure customization. Like, they're basically skins for skins. Like, are we deadass? We've gotten more and more reworks of already existing things like Harken's first ability, Artful's entire kit, and even the Taunt ability is going to get a rework soon, but still no new real content. People complained for months about Noli taking too long to release in Forsaken, but the DoD devs are just fooling players into thinking that they're adding new content, while in reality this is the exact same situation. I don't want a cool head on my avatar, I want a new way to do something in-game! Okay, so let's talk about the killers now, shall we? The killers in DoD are horribly balanced, and I don't mean that they're all very strong, no, the only good killer in the entire game is Badware. The issue is that all of them are so horribly designed that I could rant about each one for so long. Wait, you know what? I'll do exactly that. Pursuer is the starter killer, and I'd say he's pretty decent. He can ambush players, finish them off with Cleave, which by the way is only good at finishing people, and can use Howl when low on stamina to kinda counter looping. I say kinda because looping is a serious issue in this game. Most killers can barely even counter it, and one of them gets outright destroyed by it. Badware, on the other hand, is the best killer in the game. He's by no means overpowered due to being incredibly map dependent and some abilities making playing him living hell, but he can absolutely put up a fight, especially when the players aren't too good, but that goes for any killer. Artful is a weird killer. On one hand, you've got the best Sony potential I have ever seen in an Asim game, and on the other, you have low HP, a ridiculously low amount of stamina, and most importantly, he's French! Oh my god! All of his abilities have stupid wind-ups that are basically a free stun if at least one civilian is marked, and the fact that he relies on them isn't exactly good either. Harken is hands down the worst killer in the game and it's not even close. She relies on the civilians making noise to enter her rage mode, except that she's so easy to loop to the point where you don't even need abilities to loop her. She also has the lowest amount of HP out of all the killers, since her playstyle is about resource management, except that it's actually just another damn weakness on top of all the others instead of being what makes her balanced. 2 of her 3 abilities are prediction based too, and just like 1x in Forsaken, you're basically gambling hoping that one of your abilities actually hits someone. This killer isn't a glass cannon, she's a glass shotgun pointed directly at her own face. And finally, Killjoy. His M1 is a projectile, so good luck predicting where people will go. It's one accelerator again, I hate this so much. Deploy Pearl even works since you can detonate it without even taking damage. Speaking of detonating stuff, detonate would be more useful if you insta-killed the kill droid. At least people will immediately understand how good it is. The only thing that he has going for him is flight, but it only counters some looping spots, and the aimbot rarely even hits someone unless you're right on top of someone. And finally, the most important thing about them all. Killers can die. Yes, I'm the guy who's probably hated by the entire DoD community for this exact opinion. The only two killers that have an amount of HP low enough to be killed are Harkin and Outfall, also known as the two worst killers in the game. Why can killers even die if it only affects two killers that are already weak enough? Stunts were already a threat, there was no need to make them even stronger. Whoa, there was a lot of yapping, was it? Well, guess what? I'm not done! Civilians can choose between a lot of abilities, and it's basically guaranteed that some of them are unbalanced, but some are just straight up overpowered. For example, bonus pad and care pad. They only require like 3 seconds to build, and as long as the killer doesn't hit you before you finish building one, you have free speed or healing until the pad disappears. Block is also a dumb ability. Killers have abilities that let them win, and most of them have wind-ups, meaning you can't use half of your moveset because a single civilians can make those abilities useless. Banana Peel is very annoying because of its low cooldown and how good it is at blocking paths, but I wouldn't say it's overpowered, it just needs a cooldown nerf. All of these abilities make looping even more of an issue, especially bonus pad. The way survivors choose their abilities is also poorly designed. Sure, the RNG factor is cool and all, but you have no way to know what other people are using before choosing your abilities, which makes it almost impossible to have a balanced team. This is also why stacking is a huge issue in this game, since there are zero stacking nerfs for civilians and no way for them to balance their team, which is why half the rounds are full of people using revolver. There should be a way to know what your teammates are using before you choose your deck, as well as stacking nerfs of course. They should also add a player list like in Forsaken or Doom by Fate, which lets both the survivors and the killer know how many survivors there are, which abilities they have, and their current amount of HP. Okay, I'm done with the characters, now let's talk about the maps. The maps in DoD are much smaller than in other asymmetrical games, and this is because of how the stamina works. Both the stamina drain and stamina gain are twice as fast as usual compared to other asymmetrical games like Forsaken for example, so you can run for much shorter periods of time. This would make the maps pretty killer-sided since it's easy to find people, so much to the point where most killers don't really have a reliable ESP ability, but for some reason they decided to make the maps horrible to play on as the killer. Most maps are either filled with loops or have an insane amount of open spaces, making it very hard to catch up to people. Most maps also have ways to create new loops by breaking some parts of the map, which makes the looping issue even worse. Again! Don't get me wrong, the maps aren't too bad if you know what you're doing, but if the civilians are smart then you'll have a rough time trying to kill them. One thing I didn't mention in the section about the game's content is that this game has a feature that is actually really cool, that being the special rounds. Every 3 rounds, a special round will occur, and there are a lot of game modes that the game can choose. I have a couple of issues with the system though. My first complaint is that most special rounds aren't fun for the killer, like at all. The devs know this though. In fact, when there's a special round, the killer's evilness isn't removed completely, and instead goes down to 6, but this still isn't enough to compensate for how unfun special rounds are for the killer. Take the evil scary game mode. In this game mode, 2 things can happen and both are unfun for the killer. 1. A lot of civilians die to evil scary and the killer barely does anything. 2. Evil scary just kills the killer and the round ends. And then there's the Gunslinger game mode, where the survivors deal double the damage as normal and always have the revolver and punch combo. I like this game mode, but it would be more fun if the killer's goal was to survive instead of killing people, because right now you die as soon as you use an ability. Those are the 2 game modes that I think need a rework, but the other ones are really fun, especially Dianation. Killers shouldn't lose evilness when it's a special round though, because it feels like you're getting punished for not having fun. Well, that's it. I said everything I wanted to say. Except for one thing. Who cares? This game was supposed to be a joke game, and even if it's way more popular than expected, it still isn't supposed to be taken seriously. Sure, the game is unbalanced and it's filled with weird design choices, but it's what makes it so special. Day of Death is a game that you play to have fun with your friends. It's not for sweaty players like me that can't accept a single loss as the killer. It's a really good game, and whenever I play it, I have a ton of fun. Unless I'm the killer, of course. This video isn't about rage baiting the DoD community, nor is it about proving that it's a bad game. It's here to point out flaws that people tend to ignore when talking about the game, especially the first things I've talked about. If you're looking for a fun time, then play DoD. I guarantee you'll have tons of fun. Okay, that's it. Bye!